Hi, I'm Charles Arthur, Technology Editor at The Guardian, and I'm here to talk about the move from iOS 6, as found on phones like the iPhone 5, to iOS 7, as on the iPhone 5C and 5S. It's a big move for Apple. This is the first real change that it's made to the whole iOS system since it introduced it on the original iPhone in the beginning of 2007. So the first thing you note when you just press the button is that the iOS 7 screen seems to be larger. It's as though Apple has done some sort of trick here to make the screen larger, even though physically there's no difference at all. What's happened is that the iOS 7 screen doesn't have the black bands at the top and bottom that the 6 one does. So that gives you the impression that there are more pixels available to you. The next thing you find is a little slider at the bottom which pulls up something called the Control Center, which is available in all the apps if you want it. Has various controls at the bottom. There's one for the flashlight, which is very useful, I can say from experience. It's going to kill all the flashlight apps. It also has the timer and alarms, it has a calculator, and it has direct access to the camera. There's also something called AirDrop, which is a new technology from Apple, which allows you to share things like photos, notes, web links. We're waiting to see what developers are really going to do with it. It's a very interesting technology, doesn't require you to touch phones, it just allows you to pass between phones which are within a peer-to-peer wireless contact. The best place to see this new arrival of gestures is, for example, in Apple's email. In the old email, you had to move about between email boxes and messages. You press on a message, you read it, you have to reach across, hit a target on the top left of the screen to go back. But with the new mail on iOS 7, it's much easier to control your email from your phone, I think, in many ways than it is from a computer. Something we'll see throughout iOS 7 is, it seems to me, to be thinking about the possibility, at least, of bigger screens where you don't need a particular target on the screen to be able to control it. So Apple has taken a really clever approach to how to organize your photos. For most people, you're taking more and more photos on your smartphone, but the problem is it's really hard to organize them. You just have this endless list of photos that are all stuck together. There's no way of telling when one day ended and another began, when something was special, where it was taken. Apple is now picking up the location data from the phones, it's picking up the date from the phones, and using that, it's organizing them by day, and it's then organizing them by what it calls moments. You can get little previews. It puts them all together into a gigantic sort of tapestry, which you can work your way through far more easily than the old scrolling endless list of photos where you could never dig the particular one you wanted out. So another big change is the way that multitasking is done. It used to be that a double click on the home button would give you a list of the running apps. You could shift between them by scrolling back and forth. Now with iOS 7, when you double click on the home button, you get a much more visual description of the apps that are running. Although they're not live, these don't change and update as you're using them. If you're used to Android and the enormous flexibility that gives you, then you're going to think that iOS 7 is a rather cut-down version. You still can't change your keyboard, you can't change what sort of apps interact with other apps. But if you're used to iOS 6, then I think you're going to find that iOS 7 brings a lot of benefits. It brings a lot of things like gestures, which simplify the experience of managing your mail, for example. I think that Apple is cautious in these sorts of things. It always introduces changes, but it tries to introduce a limited number, just the right number in its view.